What's going on, everyone? Just a buzz here. If you're new to the channel, I make Charlotte Hornets content, so if that interests you, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. If you cannot tell by the thumbnail title of this video, in today's video, we're going to talk about how LaMelo Ball went off for 32 points in his quote-unquote showdown against Anthony Edwards as the Charlotte Hornets defeated the Minnesota Timberwolves 121-113. Now, just some quick housekeeping things. You know that I moved. Camera's still packed up somewhere. Haven't been able to get to it. So you're going to get a lot of videos, podcast styles, I like to call it, where there's not video, just audio, and then I'll have a picture up. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into the game. So the Charlotte Hornets win their third game in a row. First game after the All-Star break against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like I said, 121-113. LaMelo Ball had 32 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, shooting 11 for 21 from the field and 5 for 9 from 3. Now, one thing I really liked about LaMelo's game, we're just going to go ahead and talk about his game specifically. One thing I really liked about his game is that he just looked really comfortable out there. It didn't look like he was forcing too much. We know that LaMelo Ball can kind of settle, and I would say he took some heat checks, but I don't think he took any settling shots, and I think that's an improvement on his game. I think he sometimes when the team kind of gets down, or as you saw in this game, late in the game especially, the Timberwolves took the lead for a little bit. Anthony Edwards was going off, and we'll get to him later, but LaMelo Ball did not speed it up. You know, there was actually one point where the Timberwolves were just, I think they took a 1-point lead, but they were just putting the pressure on the Charlotte Hornets. And LaMelo Ball, instead of running the ball up the court like he usually does, he actually slowed the game down. I believe the Charlotte Hornets scored on that possession. That's just an improvement I'm seeing in his game, is that he's really learning to be a point guard. And when I say that, I'm not saying that he couldn't play point guard before or anything like that. But what I'm saying is that sometimes people forget that with a point guard, it's much more than just, you're not just another player on the court. And I felt like sometimes that's the way he plays, is as another player on the court, as a great player on the court. Now, I'm not saying he's just a role player, but what I'm saying is he doesn't play as like, sometimes he just gets caught up in the moment, which young player, fast-paced game, fast-paced style of offense, I get it. But sometimes it's just good to see that he's developing as a true point guard, and you know, he showed signs of that today. And now we can also talk about Gordon Hayward, who had an incredible game. This is the Gordon Hayward I like to see. It was it really quiet? I don't know. I guess because I personally was paying a lot of attention to Gordon Hayward, just because he's supposed to be healthy, which, I mean, he obviously looked healthy. He just played very well. He actually played with a little passion. Like, there was a call, I think, when they originally called the offensive foul on him, he got upset. I mean, he wasn't yelling or anything, but he just showed emotion. That's something we don't typically see from Gordon Hayward, but it was good to see, just because sometimes I just question, like, not how much Gordon Hayward loves basketball, but how much he loves being in Charlotte, which, I mean, I get it. It's been rough since he's been here, but also just sometimes he just doesn't seem tuned in. But tonight he definitely seemed tuned in, not only as a basketball player, but just as a team member, as well as just a teammate to these other guys. I think he played extremely well. 13 rebounds, which I saw from someone, I wish I could remember who posted it on Twitter, but someone said that the 13 rebounds was his most he's ever had in a Charlotte Hornets uniform. So thank goodness for Gordon Hayward, because he also was just able to hit some tough mid-range shots. I think Gordon Hayward's an excellent mid-range shooter. I like the way he plays. I know I always complain about Gordon Hayward a lot on this channel, but I actually love Gordon Hayward's game. I like how, you know, you can't rush him. You can't make him do something he doesn't want to do. Now, there were some times he would do some questionable things, like he would go up for a shot and kick it out, and he's mid-shot. Like, I know that one time specifically it happened with Nick Richards, and Nick Richards wasn't able to handle the ball. That's something that's typically not Gordon Hayward's style. So I was surprised at seeing him do that. But also with Rudy Gobert in the paint, I also get that as well. But it obviously didn't affect too much. He still had 5 assists, only 2 turnovers, and then the team, Hornets won anyway. So there's that. One thing that's very interesting about this game was that, you know, considering you're going against Rudy Gobert, who is a 2-time defensive player of the year, 3-time defensive player of the year, I don't know, maybe more than that, I don't know. Rudy Gobert had 17 and 10, which you could say that's a standard game, but when you watch the game, Rudy Gobert, I wouldn't say dominated, but he definitely impacted the game in his own way. But I wouldn't say Mark Williams was able to handle him. I know Mark Williams got in foul trouble early. Rudy Gobert is kind of like he doesn't really have any inside moves, but he's very I guess, sneaky in a way, like the way he's just able to get to the basket. Like it's not like he does something special and then some move that you never seen, or he pulls up something off intricate. It's just I don't know how to explain. He's just surprisingly slithery, I guess, for as tall as he is, for as big as he is. But I mean, he was giving Mark Williams a little trouble, but not too much. Mark Williams just got into foul trouble, and then they put Nick Richards on him. Nick Richards, to me, is not that much of a paint defender. He did get away with a block that definitely should have been goaltending, but hey, who cares? Yeah, Nick Richards couldn't really handle him. PJ Washington did a little better. I mean, PJ was definitely just getting foul him as well, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just rough because Rudy Gobert, we struggle still against centers. I think Mark Williams does a better job with rim protection. He's probably our best. Even when Mason Plumlee was on the team, Mark Williams was probably our best rim protector. It's just, I don't know. He's still got a ways to go. He's a rookie. I mean, but it's just, you don't want to see Rudy Gobert score 17 points in a game. He really didn't need to. Rudy Gobert's not a 17 point per game scorer, at least in the way he was scoring, where he was just getting offensive rebounds and doing these lane putbacks. I really don't like Rudy Gobert. I like Rudy Gobert basketball wise, but like as a person, as a character, I don't know, however you want to say it, don't really care for Rudy Gobert that much. Don't know him personally, but I'm just saying I don't really care for him that much. There was one point towards the end of the game, like he flexed. I can't remember. I think he flexed on, was it Mark? I think he flexed on Mark Williams, but it was like, dude, y'all are losing like 2 minutes left. So, I mean, it's like you need to worry about the game. But anyway. I just don't like that the team allowed Rudy Gobert to get 17 and 10. But, I mean, it is what it is. Our paint protection, we were getting obliterated at one point. Like, we couldn't stop anything. Luckily for us, the Minnesota Timberwolves couldn't stop anything we were doing either. But there was a point where the Minnesota Timberwolves were getting anything they wanted in the paint. And then towards the end of the game, as soon as they stopped getting what they wanted in the paint, they were hitting, like, crazy shots from the three-point line. Like, I know Anthony Edwards was hitting some threes towards the end. Nas Reed was hitting, I think he hit 2 threes. Yeah, he was 2 for 7. So it was a back and forth game all night. Terry Rozier did not play that well at all. I mean, I don't know. It's just he didn't look. He was trying to get to the basket, but it just really wasn't working, obviously, with Rudy Gobert down there. And then also the shot just was not falling for him. So he really didn't have any other things he could do. Also, another thing is that I always point this out, but Terry Rozier stays getting put on people he has no business guarding. Anthony Edwards is one of them. Anthony Edwards was getting to the basket at ease at points with Terry Rozier on him. He was just able to bully him out the way and get an easy layup. So that's one thing that I think Terry gets a lot of slack for. Everybody's like, oh, he can't defend, but a lot of times he's defending players he has no business defending. But the way our team's set up, he kind of has to. It is what it is. I kind of want to go back to PJ Washington. PJ Washington has been playing extremely, extremely well lately. He wants to get paid, but he was hitting his shots. I mean, he looked good on defense. I think this year he's taken just a huge leap on defense, and not statistically, but just when you watch him play, PJ Washington has just been doing a great job just of sliding his feet, stay in front of guys. I mean, he's been pretty good on pick and roll. They played a lot of zone this game, especially considering they had to go small with Nick Richards not being able to stop Rudy Gobert, and with Mark Williams in foul trouble and also struggling a little bit to stop Rudy Gobert. They went into zone. PJ Washington just did a good job of just being able to, kind of work that zone. Also, sometimes he was at a perimeter, sometimes he was in the paint, depending on the lineup that the Minnesota Timberwolves had out. But like I said, PJ Washington just doing an excellent job. And when his offense is working, he's really just a full play. Like, he's a complete player. I really like PJ Washington's game. I just wish he was more consistent. Like, it's just sometimes you get a game where great defensively, doesn't do anything on offense. Sometimes he does something great, offense, and then his defense lacks. But games like this where he was able to do, with what he had, I mean, at the end of the day, he should not be guarding Rudy Gobert, but I mean, you can't ask for, a better performance from PJ. This is kind of like his role. I mean, I don't see him scoring 20 every night, but that 16 to 18 range and just being able to just play all over the place on defense, that's what you want from PJ. And I think he can really provide that given the minute. It's just got to be a lot more consistent. The bench didn't do anything. I mean, Kelly Oubre takes really bad shots. He still takes really bad shots. And I mean, that's him at this point. That's not going to change. But sometimes it's frustrating. I love Kelly Oubre, but that's like my one gripe about him is that he takes such bad shots. He rushes shots. But hey, I mean, first game back, 2 for 6, 4 for 4 from the free throw line, which is good. His free throw has been a lot better this season. I mean, he was okay. I mean, he was a pest on defense. That's what we need him for. He was able to do that. So, I mean, I can't complain. Like I said, first game back anyway. Svi, I don't know how to pronounce his name. We're just going to call him Svi, that we received during the trade deadline. Only played 7 minutes. Didn't look that great, but I mean, 7 minutes is 7 minutes. It is what it is. I'm not really looking for him to be some type of ultimate bench player. JT Thor, I love JT Thor. What he can be, it's just, man, sometimes, like there was a play where specifically the Timberwolves were on a fast break, and I can't remember who was guarding the ball, but JT Thor left the runner to guard the ball with whoever else was guarding the ball, and then the runner just got open, easy layup or dunk or whatever it was. And it's just like, come on, like you just have to let him live. I know he was trying to help, but it's just like things like that. You see it too often in his limited minutes. I think that's the problem. If he played 30 minutes and it was like that, fine. But you're playing 8 minutes and he has a lot of lapses like that. It's kind of frustrating. And sometimes, a lot of times, his offense leaves a lot to be desired. So, I mean, he's still really young. He's still very, very young, but it's just, man, I wish we would just see more progress. We see more flashes. I don't think we've seen much progress, if that makes any sense. So we've seen more of what he can do. We just haven't seen him, specifically get that much better. And then, I mean, his minutes have been fluctuating all season. So it's just rough. It's that JT Thor's in a rough situation. Dennis Smith Jr., great on defense. He was a pest. I mean, he had 2 steals. I mean, he had a lot of deflections. He was just a pest on defense. God, his shooting is just sometimes, man, it's just he can't even hit the rim. I don't know what it is. He didn't really attack the basket as much as I would like him to this game. He settled a lot, and I don't know if that's injury. I don't know if that's Rudy Gobert. It could easily be both. So, I mean, I don't know. But at the end of the day, we have him to be a backup point guard and to defend, and that's exactly what he did. 4 assists, 2 steals. That is the stats you should look at for Dennis Smith Jr. You know what I mean? And then also there's a lot of things he does that does not show up on the stat sheet. You don't really look at points and rebounds and things like that, shooting percentages. When you want to see Dennis Smith Jr.'s real value, you have to watch the game because, like I said, a lot of stuff he does doesn't show up on the stat sheet. But you really want to look at assists, steals, and plus minus too, I guess, if you're into that. So I'm not mad at it. I just, sometimes I wish we just had another scorer, because even Kelly Oubre, he can score in bunches. It's just he's just more of a streaky shooter and not really a scorer. So we really need someone that can just come into the game and hit from the mid range or hit a 3, get to the bat. We need someone that can do a little bit of all of it. We don't really have that right now, the way this team's currently constructed. Overall, great game by the Charlotte Hornets. I think they did amazing. They were an unrecognizable team. I mean, they still had some lapses here and there, but they played with effort all the way through. They had adversity at the end where the Minnesota Timberwolves were just on fire and then took the lead, and then the Charlotte Hornets took the lead back and kind of just didn't give up, and that's something that we like to see, because that's something that they do in the past a lot, is just give up. As for the Minnesota Timberwolves, we like to be fair here. I personally don't like the Minnesota Timberwolves, and that's just me. It's all because of when LaMelo in his rookie year, I believe, got hurt, and D'Angelo Russell tweeted something like, "See, I told y'all, rookie of the year." And he was talking about Anthony Edwards, and it's like, dude, that's based off injury. Like, you're going to say that off of injury, and then, D'Lo goes on to say a bunch of stuff, throughout his career that make you be like, I don't know about him. So now he's not on here. So I guess maybe I can like the Minnesota Timberwolves again. I don't believe in this whole Anthony Edwards, LaMelo battle, LaMelo rival thing. I do like when they both play. They're both electric. Anthony Edwards, there was one specific possession where he had LaMelo's number. He locked him up. But they both, you can tell when they're matched up on each other, they go extra hard. I don't think there's any real beef, but I think they know, they're at the end of the day, both of them are performers. Both of them are entertainers. You know what I mean? Obviously they're basketball players, but they like the crowd getting into it. They like the narratives going around that. So I think they both play up to that every time they match up against each other, and that's what you love to see. No bad blood, but competitive bad blood, if that makes any sense. Cool off the court, but when we're on the court, these are the battlegrounds. Those are the kind of rivals, quote unquote, you would love to see, and they bring it every time. So, and like I said, Anthony Edwards just had a great game. Great player, just an amazing player. I love everything Anthony Edwards can do for his team. Mike Conley is proven to be just a great fit for this team. Just a good veteran presence, able to slow down the offense when need be. Also, just know when to be in the right places. Rudy Gobert, I already talked about him. Kyle Anderson is kind of he had 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 blocks. I mean, you're not really too concerned about that as far as just you're not mad at that if you're a Timberwolves fan. But it was just some things he did questionable. It's just 4 turnovers, minus 12 and a plus minus. So Kyle Anderson, he left some things to be desired, but overall a decent game, I guess. And then Jaden McDaniels is a defender, man. I saw a post from, I think it was NBA University on Twitter a couple days ago talking about how Jaden McDaniels was one of the overall best defenders. He's not a defensive player of the year type of defender. Like, he's not going to get all the blocks and steals, but when you watch him play, he's excellent defender, and it stuck out tonight. He literally was on everybody, and that's something that we look for from PJ, is to be on everybody. But how effective Jaden McDaniels is on the defensive end is insane, and I think the Timberwolves got them a good one. They're going to have to keep him. They need to keep him for a long time, because I think he is just an excellent defender. If you just watch him, like I said, it may not show up on the stat sheet, even though tonight he had 1 block, 1 steal. If you just watch Jaden McDaniels, he's going to lock some people up, and I like watching him play. I'm a very defensive type of person. I like seeing good defensive possessions. Naz Reid, a guy out of LSU who played very well tonight. He was 2 for 7 from 3, but 6 for 12 from the field, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, 16 points. I thought Naz Reid was going to get drafted. The fact that he went undrafted was crazy to me, and he's proven that he should have been drafted. He's a great player. Timberwolves got them another good one right there, especially considering how expensive this team's going to be. It's good to have guys like Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels on, just playing for you, because you have Cat, you have Anthony Edwards, and then Rudy Gobert. So it definitely helps having guys like Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels. But overall, great game by the Charlotte Hornets. I think Coach Steve Clifford did a good job with his rotations, with what he has. Dennis Smith Jr. 26 minutes, Nick Richards 20, Kelly Oubre 23. I will say that I think he let Mark Williams sit a little too long. Now, there was one part towards the end of the game where Mark Williams was trying to come in for like 5 minutes, but the game just didn't stop. There was no timeouts, no fouls or anything like that, so Mark Williams couldn't get in. So maybe that's why his minutes look the way they do. I don't think that was like on purpose, but definitely would like to see, because it's not enough to just start Mark Williams. I think you just need to let him play through the ups and downs of what it's like, being an NBA center. Overall, like I said, once again, great game by Mark Williams. I think he had one really good block on Anthony Edwards at the end. That was a clutch block if you really think about it in the grand scheme of things, and considering that clutch block he had against the Hawks against Trae Young, in the mid range. Or maybe Trae made it back to the 3-point line. I don't remember, but anyway, I know it was a step back attempt. And Mark Williams with his clutch blocks, I like that. But overall, great game by the team. Obviously, you would want to see the Charlotte Hornets, I guess, lose more for their lottery odds, but also you want to see them play hard, and that's exactly what they did tonight. You would like to see that carry out through the rest of the season, so that it can set the standard for next season. That's kind of really what you're doing. You want younger guys to get a lot of minutes, to kind of see what you got with the team. So yeah, I hope they stick to that plan. I hope they continue to play like this. Don't win too much, but I'm not mad at them winning the game. It is what it is. Like I said all the time on this channel, this draft class is stacked, so you really can't go wrong with a lot of guys in the top 8. So really top 10. Obviously, I don't think the Hornets are dropping to 10, or they're going to be good enough to be the 10. I'm just saying, though, like, overall, there's so many good players in this league. Obviously, in this draft, obviously you won't Scoot or Wemby, but you really can't be mad if you fall and then you get the guy like Amin Thompson or his twin brother, Sor Thompson, Ken Whitmore. There's just a lot of great guys. So be optimistic. Be happy that they won a game. Be happy that they played like this. I know some people were upset. Don't be upset. Just be happy that the guys who really will have a future on this team played well. And that's kind of what you have to think about it. And, Gordon Hayward played extremely well, and you don't think he would have a future. Maybe he does. Like, maybe come off the bench and just hopefully for a lot less money. But maybe, we'll see. But the guys who you want to see, prosper, and they'll be here in the future, they played very well. Like I said, PJ, Mark Williams, LaMelo, Nick Richards to an extent, Dennis Smith Jr., who you would hope to keep, Kelly Oubre, who more likely is going to stay, and I mentioned that in my last video. So yeah, these guys played well, and you can't be mad at that when guys who are going to be the future of your team play well. So just enjoy the wins, because there's not many more that are going to happen. So anyway, that does it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.